Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cashfly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks, featuring musical director Kyle Benham on his last day on Easter Sunday, March 31st, 2013. This is episode 966. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by ShareFile. Enhance your workflow. Send files of almost any size easily and securely with ShareFile from Citrix. Try ShareFile today. For a 30-day free trial, visit sharefile.com. Click the radio microphone and enter Tech Guy. Well, hey, how are you today? It's time for, well, first of all, happy Easter. And yes, the bunny is here in person. It's time for the Tech Guy Show, featuring me, Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. If you have a question about technology, I'm here to answer it. Computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, anything like that. 88. Chris Marquardt's here, by the way, our digital photography guru. He'll join us in a couple of hours. 8888 Ask Leo. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. of A. Let's see here. There's a lot. We talked about this yesterday. A lot of talk in the news about a Facebook phone. Facebook sent out an invite on for an event on Thursday, in which it said, "Come see our new home on Android," and everybody jumped on that as it's a Facebook phone. I don't think so. I think it's just an update to their Android app, but we'll find out. Who would buy a phone that was just Facebook only? Like it really was big in Facebook. I don't think there's a market for that. But maybe I'm wrong, and we'll find out Thursday. Bitcoin hits $1 billion. You know what Bitcoin is? Isn't it kind of interesting? And it's a little upsetting to some people. Although recently, the Federal Reserve said it was kind of in a backhanded way said Bitcoin was okay. What is well, first of all, to understand what Bitcoin is, you have to understand what money is. And I don't think most of us really do. We think, it's a thing in my wallet or the thing I use my credit card for. But really, what is this thing in your wallet? This piece of paper with Benjamin Franklin on it, if you're lucky, George Washington on it, if you're me. Or actually, I don't have any paper money in my wallet at all. What is that? It's just a piece of paper. It's kind of imaginary, isn't it? I mean, it's not tied to any gold or silver standard or anything like that. In fact, when the government needs more, they just print more. It's just a piece of paper. It's audio. Murphy says it's a promissory note. No, and it's not really. It doesn't promise anything. It's just a piece of paper that you and I agree on that it means something. It has some value. So once you accept that notion, then Bitcoin might make a little bit more sense. Bitcoin is something that anonymous internet geeks came up with as a new kind of global currency, stateless currency, no government behind it. And it's created in this kind of odd way where with a computer calculating numbers, doing a hard calculation problem, and every once in a while generating, I put that in quotes, generating a Bitcoin. And it only has value just because we say it does. But the truth is that's the same thing with any currency. The value is what we agree it is. Now, you might say, well, what can I do? So what? So I've got let's say I get a Bitcoin. What do I do with it? Well, increasingly, you can spend it. And really, that's what makes currency work, right? That somebody will say, okay, yeah, I'll take that in exchange for something. You've been able to spend it in the past on pizzas, but you can spend it increasingly on more and more things, and you can give it to people, or you could just hoard it. There is an exchange, a Bitcoin exchange, the biggest in the world. About 80% of all Bitcoins are exchanged at a place called Mt. Gox, MTGOX.com. And the exchange there sets the value of a Bitcoin just by the fact of, what people will pay for it, buying and selling. Currently, a single Bitcoin's worth about $92.8 US, and that's been going up a lot lately. There's another place that some people point to as here's what's wrong with Bitcoin. It's called Silk Road. It's a place Bitcoin is used to buy illegal drugs. Except that, it isn't really a place. You can't go to Silk Road. You have to know how to get there. It's a kind of an underground website. But you can use Bitcoin for other things too. You can even trade it in for currency, for cold hard U.S. dollar. What? Yes, you can. So that's how we know it's worth $92, because that's what people are paying for it. There's even a guy in Canada who wants to sell his house, not for Canadian dollars, but for Bitcoins. He's a speculator. Because I think he thinks, even though it's $92 now, it's probably going to be worth more. Bitcoin, the way it's set up, there can only be a certain number generated. There's 1 billion right now. That's why it's a news story. This week, the amount of Bitcoins in, circulation, hit $1 billion. So, what use is this? Well, I don't know. You got to feel bad for the guy who bought a pizza for 10,000 Bitcoins a couple of years ago. That pizza's worth almost $500,000 now. He's kicking himself. I hope he got pepperoni. We've used all sorts of things for money. Blue beads, feathers, gold coins. With the exception of gold, I don't even know if does gold have any value except that what we ascribe to it is pretty. It's pretty. Colonel Klink says, when I was a kid, we used Pogs. Oh yeah, those milk caps, right? I think there are more and more people who accept Bitcoin as in trade for services, plumbers and so forth. Wow. It must scare governments a little bit, although when you look at the government of Cyprus recently, for instance, that is proposing that anybody who has more than $100,000 in the bank, they're going to take, 8% or 10%? Just take it because they need the money. The government needs the money. I've been reading a book. The reason this comes to mind is I've been reading a really interesting book called The End of Money. And, we would save, of course, as a nation, we'd save hundreds of billions of dollars a year if we didn't have cash. We'd also eliminate bank robberies, a lot of street crime, if there were no cash. But people love cash. They love cash. Maybe the solution is an electronic medium like Bitcoin. I don't know. There are 11 million Bitcoins in circulation now, and there'll be more until it reaches a fixed amount, and then that'll be it. There's no inflation possible with Bitcoin. Well, I guess the Bitcoin can go up and down, but it can't be inflated artificially by printing more because you can't. Kim.com. The crazy guy, I don't know if he's crazy. The guy in New Zealand who does the cloud storage system. Kim.com is accepting Bitcoins for payment. To access, if you want to buy Mega, you can access it and pay for it. Reddit says you can use Bitcoins to sign up for a gold membership. It's probably smart as Bitcoins get to be more valuable. That's one thing that makes a Bitcoin kind of odd. It's just it fluctuates in value so rapidly. We've seen some crashes already. It's very interesting, and I have no idea what it means. And there are Bitcoin casinos, according to Reddit founder Alexis Ohanian, where you can gamble for Bitcoins. Now, see, that's kind of interesting, since they're made up anyway, right? Amazon just bought Goodreads. I don't know. Do you use these social reading networks? There's a couple. I used Shelfari for a while till Amazon bought it a couple of years ago. Then I started using Goodreads. Now Amazon's bought that. It owns them both. It is now the king of social reading. What do? Well, you type in the books you've read and your reviews, and you see what your friends have read, and you recommend them. It's a great idea. It's a great idea. I wish Amazon would just import everything I've bought on Amazon into my Goodreads. They're not doing that yet. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. What are Bitcoins made of? Bits. The Sioux. I love Goodreads, too. I kind of like Shelfari as well. Bitcoin has, there's no physical. We are so busy, so much to do. No physical thing. You can't. There are a few things you can't do with Bitcoin. And in fact, this book, or with any kind of electronic money, this book talks about that. You know, you can't tip a street musician yet. One of the big points, there are a couple of things. There are a few people who are really into cash dollar money because they don't want, it's the only way you can have a private transaction, isn't it? Any electronic transaction is not private. And there are some who say that electronic money is the mark of the beast and one of the signs of the revelation. $2. Shaving a haircut, $2. Exactly, Dr. Mom. If you're keeping books, you're doing it wrong. Bitcoin is anonymous-ish. Electronic arts is the mark of the beast. I'd agree with that. Oh, hey. Speaking of games, BioShock Infinite. Wow. What a game. I like the first two BioShocks a lot. This one is wild. You're in a floating city. It is wild. Now, is anybody playing it? Because I got last night I played for a few hours and I got to the girl. I got the girl. But it seemed like that happened way too soon. So I figure there's a lot more game going on. If you buy BioShock for the PS3, you get BioShock 1 on the disc. Which I didn't need because I had it. Last night, I took some time out of my busy life. I put my mom to bed. Mom's staying with me. Put Abby to bed. And I went and I played, put Lisa to bed. And I went and played, I made matzo ball soup. And while the soup was simmering, I played BioShock Infinite for about 3 hours. There's a lot more game. Oh, good. Okay. I felt like the game had ended almost because, the point of the game seems to be find the girl, get to Monument Island, find the girl. And I did. And it's very dramatic. Very climactic. It's very climactic. Yeah, I did set up the Sonos soundbar. It sounds really good. Even by itself, and it's very easy to set up a sub with it. In fact, when you set it up, it asks you, do you want a sub? It couldn't have been simpler. I thought it was going to be complicated. There's one little negative. Apparently, there's a fix for it, and I haven't figured it out yet. It takes over the volume control on your remote, on your TV, so you use your TV remote, and it turns it up and down. But then I still get a little message on the TV that says, hey. I've got to figure that out. I don't think power supplies on an iMac would be that. Well, yeah, maybe Apple might overcharge. Okay, Dr. Mom, you're going to kill me. I didn't have any schmaltz for my matzo balls, so I used... My mom got so upset. I used bacon fat. And my mom said, that's not Jewish. I said, Mom, we're not Jewish. She said, that's not kosher. I said, Mom, we're not Jewish. We don't keep kosher.
Bring us the girl and wipe away the debt.
That's it.
That was the deal. The details elude me now.
What a great game, by the way.
The details.
Came out this week. BioShock Infinite. It's the third in a series of very interesting games. PC now, it'll be available for the Mac in a couple of months. It is available also Xbox 360 and PS3. I was a big fan of the first two because they're first-person shooters, and I know a lot of people think, oh, those are horrible, they're violent. And yeah, it's, you're running around shooting things. That's true. But it's such a unique storyline. Even the first two, you were in an underwater city. It had a kind of objectivism. There was this whole kind of political thing going on. It was very interesting. Beautiful, beautiful game. And the new one, BioShock Infinite, you're now in a floating city. And wow, I just got to say, wow. Beautiful looking game, but also I love it that it's so different. So different. I'm sorry, Strike It Rich in our chat room's asking, is it available on the Atari 2600? No, not yet. But maybe there'll be a port. That would be pretty funny. An 8-bit version of the game. It really shows you, of course, how far we've come in the technology of gaming. But it also is a very dramatic story. There's a point in the story where you have a choice, a very kind of interesting moral choice. Now, normally in gaming, there's no morality. You're shooting things, right? And this game has plenty of that. But before there's any shooting, there's this very interesting moral choice that you have to make. And I don't know. I would guess the game varies, 180 degrees depending on which choice you make. But what's interesting about that, I now have to go back and make what I would consider the immoral choice and see what happens. It's very interesting. Gaming has really taken a turn. Even on the iPad, I look at iOS games all the time, and there's lots of very innovative, interesting stuff being done there too. My mom and I are playing a simple game that's just wonderful. Lauren Brichter's Letterpress. It's wonderful. It couldn't be. It's one of those games, and I think this is true of truly great kind of games, classic games. Simple, easy to learn. It takes a few minutes to learn, a lifetime to master. Very simple word game. Then there's some very that's called Letterpress on iOS. Then there's some very interesting kind of adventure games with strange looks and feels. I think we are in a golden era, maybe, of gaming, where it's become more like storytelling, more like a richer medium than just, shoot the space invaders before they take over the Earth. 8888 ask Leo, I wax philosophical, so before I get completely waxed, let's get to Brad in San Diego, our first call of the day. Hey, Brad, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, wait a minute.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks, Brad. What can I do for you?
Well, my question is about Pro Audio. I have a sound card, Apogee Duet 1, that I'm using now, and I'm extremely pleased with it.
Yeah, it's a good card.
It works seamlessly with my Mac.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to upgrade to I need a 2-channel, 4 channels out. And I'd like to upgrade to the Duet 2 maybe, but now my options are open. So Focusrite came out with Focusrite Forte, which is kind of a takeoff of it, a little bit less expensive. And then RME, if I wanted to put some more money into it, RME has a great reputation for stability, and the Babyface is, a lot more expensive.
I'm going to stop you right there because this is way over my head. I'm not an expert on Pro Audio, and just to explain to people what's going on, normally you have a sound card in your computer, and it outputs 2 channels, left and right, stereo. But if you're a musician or you're doing more, you might want more out. Now, the Apogee Duet is a FireWire audio interface that has multiple channels. And then now you can go to the new one, which has, I think, 4 channels. But the new one must be USB, right? Because no one has FireWire anymore.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. So that would be the first thing I would say is, while FireWire has more speed, it's newer Macs don't have it. Nothing has it anymore. FireWire is dead. So I think the Duet 2, and it makes sense, is a USB device now. But I don't, the real question is, what's the quality of the DAC, the digital audio converter?
Okay.
And
okay.
and
Now,
that's what makes a big. That's what really, and that's just simply a digital signal processing chip or DSP chip that takes the bits coming off the USB or FireWire port and turns them into analog audio, or vice versa, taking the analog audio from your microphone or your drum or your guitar and putting it into the computer. So it's an ADDA, analog to digital and digital to analog converter. And the quality of that processing is what makes this good or bad. And on that, I have no expertise.
Okay, but that's what I should be looking at and comparing.
Yeah, you should listen. And what you want to hear is no noise. And Burke, who's our sound guy here, says very low latency. And I think that's true, too. You know, when there's latency is the amount of time it takes to convert the analog audio to digital audio, or vice versa. And if it's more than a few milliseconds, you'll hear it. And you can tell because, well, it sounds, you know, if you're monitoring the computer while you're playing your guitar, you'll pluck a string and a few milliseconds later, you'll hear it. That is distracting and annoying.
Okay. Yeah, because I want to use it in a live setting, so that's very important.
Exactly. Yeah, it would drive you nuts. Be like the echo in a stadium, you know, when you're trying to sing the national anthem. So, yeah, it's hard. Yeah, drummer would really throw you. Are you a drummer?
I am a drummer, but I was just thinking if you had analog drums playing, and then if you had some latency with that, you know, with a guitar through it.
Yeah, you'd all be out of sync. Exactly.
You'd be out of sync.
Yeah.
So
Apogee is. I mean, I know Apogee is good, and the chat room confirms they've had good results with Apogee. You can't go wrong with that. But you're right. There may be better stuff, and I just don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
But that gives me some things because I don't know either. I've just been doing some research on brands.
Right.
So now I know what to look for. So I appreciate
audio quality, and that's the quality of the DSP, and low latency, so you don't have any lag, and those two things are the most important.
That's what I'll concentrate on. Well, great. Thanks, Leo.
Thanks, Brad. Yeah, nowadays, if you're a musician, you have a computer. You're working with a computer. You're either recording to a computer, or you're mixing with a computer. You're creating loops with a computer. Even a synthesizer nowadays is really just a computer. Dr. F8 in our chat room says he's heard the RME drivers are better than Apogee. For what it's worth. Apogee is the only name of the names you mentioned. I would love to see, but I think we're not going to, a Thunderbolt version of this. Now, here's the issue. Apple has really, and this was not an invention of Apple. It was an Apple Intel invention called Thunderbolt that was intended to replace FireWire and USB 3, by the way. But even Apple has not convinced anybody to use it. I'm afraid this is a stillborn standard. It's very fast, but I think USB is more common. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So that's a PCI. PCI would be better also, but then you'd have to have a computer with access to the bus. But PCI would probably be as fast as, and it's as standard. It's more common, in fact, than Thunderbolt. But you have to put a card in, right? I think Apple's killed Thunderbolt. I'm getting more and more distraught, frankly, about Apple. I just consider them. I just read an article about pros moving away from Final Cut because of lack of Mac Pro support. The drivers, I don't know if I talked about this yesterday. I don't know if you saw Know How on Thursday. I was doing a segment on how to take your existing Mac Pro. I have a late model Mac Pro, and at least updating it a little bit. Easy to put more RAM in, more hard drives. I put an SSD, a PCI Express SSD in. Oh, wonderful, highly recommended. But then I got a new sound card. Sapphire is making a Mac edition for the first time. This has been a while since we've seen Mac editions of sound cards. a Mac edition of the ATI Radeon 7950, which is a decent card, nice card. They charge more for the Mac version, but the pin out, the wire, the ports are different, the wiring is different. So, it's fine. In fact, you can use PC cards, and I bought a PC card to show the difference. It doesn't have, mini display port. It doesn't have the right power connector, so you have to buy adapters for it and everything. It fits, it works. The drivers, Apple supports it, but it's just a little more tricky. It's designed for a PC case. So, Sapphire, but because the OpenGL drivers on the Mac are so bad, there's no improvement. I just feel like Apple has dumped on a segment of its customers. It's had such success with iOS that it's basically saying, "Yeah, we're gonna be a gadget company." We decided. Apple did not say, Pro Editor. Apple did not say that. Tim Cook, you got to read it carefully, said we will have something for Mac Pro users by the end of the year. Doesn't mean a Mac Pro. It's something that he believes Mac Pro users will want to buy. But that could be an iMac. That could be the iMac Pro. Obviously you have not yet lost faith. I'm rapidly losing faith. The sad thing is the worst parts of Steve Jobs, which are the kind of the dictator came through, right? The part of Steve Jobs that wasn't to be celebrated has survived. And the part of Steve Jobs that really I celebrated, which is this love of making a great product, seems to have, maybe Johnny Ive will keep it alive. I don't know. Let me look at that, J.C. Calhoun. Because we were very disappointed with benchmarks. Then when I ran it on Windows, ran great on Boot Camp. Ran great on Boot Camp. It's the Mac that was disappointing. Now games might look better. Yeah, see, they're looking at games, and I think in games it should do well. Maybe not. Although those are OpenGL, so.
I used to sit at an Apple IIe playing King's Quest and I was so. Go to mypc.com here, Leo.
Thank you.
It on all by myself. The sound effects from Dark Castle in my ears for the fans of Apple.
I love that. Dark Castle. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I was talking with the chat room about Macintoshes and the disappointment Apple has been for those of us who use high-end Macs. I love the new iMac. I've got it, bought it, love it. Of course, the iPhone and the iPad, can't complain. But I do feel that Apple sees so much profit in these new iOS, these portable devices, that they're turning their back on the desktop, and in particular on the high-end professional desktop, the Mac Pro. Hasn't been updated since mid-2010. It's almost 3 years. And all Apple has said is, Tim Cook says, we will have something great for Mac Pro users by the end of 2013. Not that we'll have a new Mac Pro. And what's very interesting, what's very sad, is that more and more of Hollywood, the pros who use or have used Final Cut on a Mac to do video editing, are returning to Avid, going to Adobe Premiere Pro, because the Apple hardware is not keeping up, and they feel that Apple, with its changes in Final Cut, is abandoning them, and they've lost that. I think they've lost that market permanently. Even if they come out with a hot Mac Pro at the end of the year, it's too late. And in fact, I think professional editors, at least in video editing, professional editors feel kind of bad because they so many of them abandoned Avid that it was struggling. The company was struggling. They're now returning in droves, and they're hoping, I think, that Avid survives. And it just shows, I think, if you do something like that, you want to be with a company that's lifeblood is video editing, is the business you're doing. Then that way they're much less likely to turn on you. You know what I'm saying? I feel like Apple has just lost its way, sad to say. And I'm a big fan, believe me. I'm not. The sad thing is there's nowhere to go. Windows 8 is a mess. Microsoft is not exactly leading the pack. I don't know where you go. Mike in Portland, Maine. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Leo. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Thank you.
I got to tell you something. For the first time ever, you've disappointed me.
Oh, no.
By putting bacon fat in your Canadian, you didn't make you made Easter.
That's a secret. So I'm making matzo ball soup. It's a little late for Passover. I'm not Jewish. I'm not a Christian either. I'm kind of a religious, but I love matzo balls. So I'm making matzo ball soup. I don't have any. You're supposed to use schmaltz, right? Chicken fat.
Chicken fat, sure.
I didn't happen to have any chickens around, but I did have some bacon fat. Now my mom, who's making this with me, says, "Leo, that's not kosher." I said, "Mom, we're not Jewish. It's okay." She said, "You can't put bacon fat in your matzo balls." I don't know. It does seem a little, I don't know, rebellious.
You can put it in there, but you just got to call them Easter dumplings.
Easter dumplings. Thank you. My opinion, bacon's good with everything. What could be wrong?
Absolutely.
Anyway, it's I admit it. I made a mistake. I apologize. They taste pretty good though.
I got a question about the new Roku. I just got an email from Time Warner, and I remember you talking about how Time Warner has worked out an amazing thing with Roku where I can get my cable box on Roku, assuming that I have Time Warner Internet, which I do.
Yes.
I have Time Warner TV, which I do.
Yes.
I don't have to buy another cable box. I can use the Roku.
This is mind-blowing. You need the Roku 3.
Right.
$99. I have the Roku 3. I don't have Time Warner, so I haven't tested it. And so far, Time Warner, as far as I know, is the only cable company that's done this. But what it means, you still have to pay for Time Warner cable, obviously. But
sure.
But what it means is that instead of using those junky, Scientific Atlanta or Motorola set-top boxes that look like they came out of 1982, you can use your little tiny Roku hockey puck, get all the benefits of Roku, and all the benefits of not just on-demand, but live Time Warner television.
But my question is this. A couple of questions. How many of them can I have? And Rokus can I have? And suppose I travel and I stay at a friend's house regularly. Could I buy a Roku and just leave it there for me so whenever I'm there I can use it? I don't know if anybody else is going to use it for me. Or if I travel to a hotel, can I take it with me? How does it all work?
That's a question for Time Warner. There's two possibilities. It's perfectly possible, maybe not reasonable, but for Time Warner to look at the IP address you're using on that Roku and say, he's not on our cable system. Won't work. So that's conceivable, but I don't know if they do that or not. Maybe somebody in the chat room is using this. It's an app. It's a Roku channel that you add, and that channel could say, what's the IP address? Oh, no, we won't work if we're not inside our own network. In fact, that's what Web 9452 says, but I don't know if he knows or if he's guessing. So that's one possibility. The other possibility is like HBO Go. With HBO Go, once you log into your cable account, you can use it on any network. You basically are saying, look, I own an HBO account somewhere, and now I can watch it on my iPad or my Android or iPhone. Okay, so yes, they are saying, kind of in unison in the chat room, that in fact they do check the IP address, and you must be inside of Time Warner's network.
Now, let me ask you another question. Suppose along these lines, a friend of mine lives down the street, has Time Warner, but doesn't have HBO. Can I put my Roku there? And I have Roku. She has a Time Warner Internet account.
Yeah, that's a good question. They could actually check. So it's possible for the app to know if they're on your cable or somebody else's cable. I don't know if it checks. I just don't know if it checks.
If I called Time Warner, would they tell me?
Yeah.
That's the other question.
Well, they may lie. They may state it in a way that's more favorable to them. They may imply capabilities they don't have. So the thing to do is go to somewhere like avsforum.com. There will for sure be some people who own this thing who will tell you. And what you want is, and that's why I like AVS Forum for this, is they're technical. So they'll know exactly what's capable. Padre SJ, who I do trust because he's a priest, says it will be tied to the MAC address of your cable modem. And that makes sense. So what it will do is it will look and see if your cable modem belongs to Time Warner and if it's you, and then validate. Now, I should point out that it's very easy to spoof MAC addresses. So, okay, Raymond Thoth Jr. has pointed us to a link in the Roku forums about this whole subject. So I'm going to put that in our show notes at techguylabs.com, Mike. And I suspect you might be in the chat room. If you are, you'll see that link. It talks about what they do and how, what you can and cannot do. So if it ties to your MAC address, you pretty much and it would make sense. They're so scared of, because what you could do is buy 20 Rokus and give it to your friends and family, and they could all be riding on your account. They don't want that. You need Roadrunner. You need digital cable. And if Father Balaser is right, and I'm sure he is, you also need to have a MAC address associated with your account.
To tell you the truth, Leo, what I really want to do is I travel to Florida regularly, and I'm down there. And if I'm in the hotel room, they don't have good things. I'd like to take the Roku with me, be able to watch what I watch at home there. I'm already paying for it, but I can't because I'm not home.
Here's what it says on the Roku forum. You must be behind your Time Warner cable-issued modem. You can't authenticate it on a Time Warner connection, then take it to an AT&T connection. It will fail to authenticate because you re-authenticate every time you use it. So they thought of that, and they say, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Also, usage of VPNs to circumvent established regional broadcast rules should not be discussed on this forum. Oh. In other words, I bet you, if it ties, when we build if I'm them, I tie it to the MAC address. Spoofable, but who's going to know how to do that? Okay. So here's somebody who tried it, didn't work. Just reading the story on AVS Forum. So he says, I tried it, didn't work. It re-authenticates your account and cable modem every time. The app can only be used in the home where a customer has Time Warner service. Minimum level is stable. You cannot take it with anywhere. Even the iPad app. You can't go on vacation and use the ISP in the hotel or elsewhere and watch TV. It will not work. So really it means it's another set-top box that you didn't have to lease. Don't send attachments. Use ShareFile. ShareFile. It's important to every kind of business. ShareFile. Yeah. I wish I could try it, but I'm on Comcast. I'm hoping Comcast does something like this. But they're, I'm sure, watching Time Warner to see how it works. You need to have Time Warner come and install a Time Warner modem. You have to use their modem. So that's a kind of a disadvantage if you're using a third-party modem. And by the way, Time Warner still charges you $10 a month for a cable box when you use the Roku. They still charge you rental for a cable box you don't have. Oh, that sucks. Don't you just hate cable companies? Well, we don't want to lose our rental fee. But I'm not renting anything from you. Wow. That is unbelievable. ESPN networks are not available on that app. We're in such a... This is why, by the way, people pirate. This is why people become pirates. I would like some soup. Is that what you're asking me? You are such a fine fellow. Working on Easter and everything like that. Did the bunny come to your house? Oh, yeah. I can only imagine what the Easter bunny brings you. That's yesterday's soup. But I will have whatever, the tomato basil, if they have that, was very, very good. But if they don't have that chicken soup, I'm going to have matzo ball soup later tonight that I made myself with bacon. Dr. Mom's going to excommunicate me. I'm no longer of the chosen people. Yeah, that's an interesting point. You could hoard bitcoins, but what good would that be? Bitcoins aren't gold. You could have a vault full of bitcoins, but if you don't spend them, they're not really worth anything. Your son was just born? Lou, congratulations on Easter Day. What a nice little bunny. I'm going to play a song for you. Oh, I don't have it. There's a new Steve Martin CD out that has a song for you, Lou. I'll play it.
All right, Leo, not 32 library.
That's what it's gonna make bacon pancakes.
I'm making bacon pancakes. Making matzo ball pancakes. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, Kyle Benham, going out with a bang. His last day as our musical director. He's going to hang up. Yes, he's hanging up his baton and his cleats. And he's moving on to greener pastures. We're going to miss you, Kyle. We are really going to miss you. I don't know, I hope. Wait, who's taking over? Nathan?
Nathan.
Is he sitting next to you? Show him the magic. Show him the magic. Show him how you do what you don't have to be. You could show him 90% of it, Kyle. That way you'll always be number one. Kyle Benham's swan song, quite literally. Ross in Michigan, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hey, Ross, welcome.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure. What can I do for you?
I am looking for a program to manage scanned documents. I own an automotive repair shop, and we have check sheets we use for oil changes and for preventive maintenance checks, and I'd like to be able to scan them.
Sure.
And put them in a file, and then we can retrieve them at a later date.
Did your scanner not come with such a thing?
The software doesn't seem very good,
It's
and
not
we
good.
need to be able to do it on a network. We have about 20 computers.
And you probably need to do something we call OCR, optical character recognition, so that it can read a scan is just taking a picture. It's like a snapshot of a document.
We just want to do like a PDF and be able to retrieve the PDF with the customer's name and the repair order.
But that's the point. If you don't do OCR, you'll have to manually enter all that other information. But if you do OCR, you might be able to, scan it all, and then not have to enter anything. You see what I'm saying?
These are custom-made documents.
That's
with
fine.
Lots of little boxes.
Yeah, that's fine. So are you planning to have the techs enter that data?
No.
You want it, so you want the scanner to have that data in there?
Well, what we'll do is the tech will do the inspection on the vehicle, give it to us. We will hand the customer the sheet, but before we give it to them, we'll scan it, and then we'll just have a copy so we can go back and say, we did Mr. Smith's car last year. We did
OCR is helpful. It's not perfect because it can't read everything exactly right, but it will help you search for this. So I'll show you what I just got for this purpose. Now, this is a new scanner, but I can tell you the software. I'm going to reach behind me. Now, if you're listening on the radio, it's just going to sound like I've disappeared. I'm right over here. I'm just getting this box. It's over here. I'm pulling it up here. It's the Fujitsu ScanSnap scanner. It's a document scanner. It's a sheet feed scanner inside, designed exactly to do what you want. So it scans in the documents as PDFs, and then it uses software, and I'm just going to check what software comes with it because it works pretty well, and I don't know if it's commercially available or not. It uses its own ScanSnap manager and the Abby Fine Reader, which is a OCR program, to interpret the document. So especially if it's a kind of a standardized form, it'll be very easy for it to do. The ScanSnap is a wonderful device. Now, sounds like you already have your scanner.
We do. We have an Epson business class scanner, and then I have a smaller Canon scanner.
Yeah, I mean, those are perfectly good. Taking the ScanSnap out of the box here. It's not super big. There's also a company called Neat Receipts that makes something similar, and the idea for Neat Receipts is you scan in all your receipts and stuff, and then come tax time, you've got this database of everything that's all together. But in both cases, what these things are going to do is something called optical character recognition, where they take the image, they're scanning it as a PDF, but again, when you do a regular scanner, all you get is an image. There's no text. It's a picture. So what you need is software that will take the picture and turn it into text. That's OCR software. There's a number of different programs that do this. You're on PCs, right?
Correct.
Yeah, Nuance, unfortunately, and I say that with love, bought every one of these programs up. Nuance has probably the best solution for this. In fact, if you go to the Nuance website, they even do it by industry. So you said automotive?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So they actually have, let's see, OCR. I want to find their, they bought so much stuff. It's kind of, let me look at their OCR.
And we were thinking about just doing it by using the repair order number, comma, customer's last name.
Yeah, then somebody would have to hand enter that, though. Right? You plan to have the tech enter that data? Or somebody?
No, the tech won't, but we'll have, like a service writer.
Okay.
So they'll just have a stack of maybe 10 of them, and they'll just scan them and just put in the repair
That's
order
fine.
number.
That's fine. And then you just match that number to a document.
Correct.
So OCR is not so important. But this is the Nuance document scanning and conversion solutions. The OmniPage is kind of the king of this. But I guess if you don't need to see the insides of those PDFs, you just want to keep track of it, right?
Yeah, and what we do, so if you brought your car in next year, we could refer back to that.
Yeah,
so we
of course.
Just look and go, oh, we did a preventive maintenance check a year ago
Right.
with this repair order number. We just put that number in and pull it up and go,
Yeah.
yep, there it is.
Eventually, what you want to do is get rid of all paper.
And just do it on a tablet.
Yeah, but this is kind of the first intermediate step to do that.
Yeah, the automotive industry seems like it's about 15 years behind everything else.
Yeah, if you think about it, though, you don't really need something that's specific to automotive. It'd be nice. I don't. There's a lot of different programs. What we really want is not. So I'm narrowing this down. We don't care about the optical character recognition. We want a program, basically a database.
Yeah, and I was thinking about writing something in Excel, but if I was the only one doing it, I could do it. But when you have four or five different people, it's like, okay, here's how we're going to use the Excel. It's kind of a learning curve for everybody.
Right.
And that may end up being the best way is just write something.
Well, no, there are quite a few programs. On the Mac side, there's DevonThink Pro, which will do this. SharePoint could be used. Microsoft. Are you a Microsoft shop? I mean, do you use Microsoft stuff?
Yeah.
So Microsoft SharePoint, which comes with Office, and you can even run a SharePoint server. You said you want it over the network. We'll probably do it what you want, which is you're going to be scanning these things in. You're going to save the PDF. You're going to index. It is a database, but the index of the database is the work order and the customer's last name. That's very straightforward. I think Microsoft SharePoint is a great way to start.
That sounds like a perfect solution.
Yeah,
All right, I'll put that down.
You're already in the Microsoft world. So this does it over a network, so you can have a network scanner or two, have a central database that all the text can access. Shouldn't be too hard for it to find. There are quite a few choices out there. I'm looking even at there's a lot of software for auto shops to do this. The problem that I have with vertical market apps, this is called a vertical market. You know, a horizontal market is Microsoft Word. It's broad. It reaches a lot of industries. It's like a broad river. A vertical is like very specific to an individual industry. And while on the surface of it, when you see a vertical app, it's tuned for your industry. You know, it's got a logo that's a car and stuff like that. It might say, oh, this is going to be perfect. The problem is, A, there's such a small market that they tend to be much more expensive. And B, they aren't often very well written. And C, they're often very wonky because the person who wrote them disappears. And so you'll look at a lot of automotive apps haven't been updated, say, since Windows XP. And so that's kind of your loss. So what you want is SharePoint. That'll allow you to share this data, and then you need some sort of database on top of it. Microsoft Access, which works with the SharePoint, would do it, but I think that something a little more powerful. Again, you don't need OCR. You're going to enter in the customer name and work order number. I'm just scanning the chat room to see if they have any dedicated solutions. Almost any customer management solution would work, wouldn't it? FileMaker, somebody's suggesting, and I've used FileMaker, much better than an Excel spreadsheet. It's a database program that allows you to make custom forms, but FileMaker isn't really ideal for this because it would be for the next step when you wanted to do all electronic and then you could make FileMaker forms, put them on an iPad, have people fill them out, and it would go to the FileMaker database. I'm still thinking SharePoint with its built-in database functionality is going to be exactly what you need. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number. We're going to take a break for your news at the top of the hour. Back with more. I do like the SharePoint solution. What does Padre SJ say? Oh, what did they have today? Oh, I love that tomato. It's all my vitamin C in one. Epson projectors showcase amazing color. I didn't know that. Oh, next time I'm going to get a grilled cheese. No, I don't want you waiting around.
Wheat or white?
No, I'm fine. Thanks. This is perfect. I drank this whole thing yesterday. It was so good. Now I've taken my paper port out of the box. I'm going to have to take it home. I mean, my Scan Pro. Scan Snap. Snap Scan. Whatever the hell it is. It does seem like a waste to create a paper form and fill it out and then scan it in, right?
This is Premier Channel.
Yeah, it seems like the best thing to do would be to bite the bullet, make a form.
From Premier Radio Networks.
Let me talk about ShareFile. What do you say? I should probably take this hat off. I would send you this hat if I could. I could send you a digital representation of this hat via ShareFile. ShareFile replaces the age-old way of sharing files in business via email attachments. That's not the way to do it. You've heard me rail about don't send email attachments. For a long time, that's how viruses got sent. They're not secure. They bounce back because, well, frankly, you can't send giant files via email. And yet in business these days, we're often sending spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, contracts, images, sometimes gigantic, Autodesk files, AutoCAD files, things like that. That information needs to get into the right hands. You need to remain confidential. You need to maintain control. How do you do that? Well, not email attachments. You do it with ShareFile. ShareFile is important to almost every business. ShareFile from Citrix sends your attachments as secure links. So you can send files of virtually any size with total security. You get notifications when your files have been opened, by whom. You can say how many times they can download it, for how long. You can expire a file. It's so easy to use, integrates into any business. In fact, when you go to sharefile.com and try our 30-day trial, just click that microphone at the top of the page and use the offer code TechGuy. They'll ask you what industry you're in. Pick the industry because they can customize it to adhere to federal regulations to work best for your industry. I love ShareFile. I literally use it every day. Well, not every day. Every week, certainly. At the end of the week, I send out audio to radio stations, things like that. If you're not using ShareFile yet, you got to sign up for our free trial. You don't need a credit card. There's nothing to lose. Just go to sharefile.com. Click the microphone at the top of the page and enter Tech Guy, one word, Tech Guy. You'll see why millions of professionals like me rely on ShareFile every day. 30 days free, no credit card needed, just the name Tech Guy. Sharefile.com. Do give it that offer code so we can get credit, and do try it. You're going to love it. It is awesome. Who is on Twitter? I have no idea. It's Easter. I don't know if we even got anybody. Joshua Topolsky. Really? It's all the Jews. I don't know what Baratunde is. Baratunde, Schwood, and it's gonna be a good one. And Topolsky. That's great. That's awesome. Matzah brie. I don't make matzah brie. In fact, I don't have any matzah. I had to buy matzah ball mix, which is just matzah meal. All new programming tomorrow, huh? I did want to do an animated version of Twit for... yeah, and we're going to do an special NSFW right after the... right, John? After Twit, special NSFW. We're going to lose the special We Lose Our License edition. Twit loses its license. Not for me. I'm going home. Going home.
You're tuned to Premier Channel 7.
Ruinium.
The Tech Guy will begin at 6 minutes past the hour.
I don't know what Runium is. Is that something? That's an NSFW thing, isn't it? Ruinum. Ruinum?
That's the wine.
Oh, the name of the wine is Ruinum? Ruinum. Is that going to be available soon? They're making it. It'll be nice and fresh. Good. Wow. Ruinum. Perfect for binge drinkers or belting. Hey, Leo Laporte here, the tech guy, and it's time to talk about computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, and all that jazz. 8888. Ask Leo. That's the number. I like that. Informatica 667 says the tech dude abides. That's right. The tech dude. That's me. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number if you want to call with a question, a comment, a suggestion. Our photography expert, Chris Marquardt, joins us at 33 1/3 after the hour this afternoon to talk about photography. Probably another myth-busting episode, knowing him. He loves to bust those myths. It's a very, somebody said the paperless office has as much future as a paperless bathroom, that it's just not... It's not happening, but I do feel like that this was a perfect example. Our last caller has an auto repair shop, and he's filling in paper forms, then scanning them into a database, and he wants to be able to look up the data, the form, the scan of the form, using the customer name or order number. And it does seem like it would be so much better just to get rid of the paper entirely, wouldn't it? And instead of filling out a paper form at all, I don't know. Is it because you got text under a car and you don't want an iPad under there? That might be the case. Somebody's saying, well, he wants an electronic copy of what the customer received. Well, what you do is you fill out the form, you press print, and you give the customer the printout. Or better yet, you say, would you like a paper receipt or can I email it to you? You save the paper entirely, and just email it to your customer, and then you get the customer's email address, and you can send them coupons and things. Seems like that's the way to do it, right? Boy, more and more I go into stores, not just the Apple Store, although that was the first place it happened to me. The Apple Store, it's all digital. The the Apple salespeople carry around a device. Used to be, ironically, a Windows device, but I think now it's an iPad or an Apple device of some kind. They carry it around. It's got a card reader on it, so you can scan your credit cards. Everything's done from there, and then they say, "Can I email you your receipt?" And you say, "Yes, thank you." But I see that more and more now. I was at Target the other day, or was it? No, it was Kmart, and they said, "Can we email you your receipt?" I said, "You betcha." That was kind of cool. So let's get rid of the paper entirely. What do we need the paper for? Save money, save time. If you could figure out a way to get rid of that paper. And I do think that a lot of people are using something like FileMaker, which allows you to, and you could get a consultant to do this, by the way. There's plenty of them. Allows you to design a form that matches your business exactly. Has your logo on it if you want. And that it's easy for the tech to fill out. Maybe it's drop downs in most cases. They can do it with their fingers, their greasy fingers, or they can do it with a stylus. And press send, it prints it out, gives it to the customer, or emails it to them, gets in the database. It's all there. Seems like that would be the way to do it. Hey, somebody said, what about dictation, right? That's how radiologists do it when they're reading an x-ray. They dictate it. They got a little foot pedal. Press the foot pedal. I see a fracture on the third lumbar mandicular forcetalo. It's going to, whatever. I can't even. Actually, dictation's very good for specialty vocabularies like that because it's a much more constrained vocabulary. 8888 asked Leo, maybe you've got a better solution. What do you think? Barney in L.A. in the L.A. harbor. Hey, Barney, are you on a boat?
No, I'm in a condo. I'm looking out at the ocean.
Looking out at the harbor. All right, welcome. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. What can I do for you, Barney?
Well, I have a situation where I have a Seiko smart label printer, and I love the database that it gives me as far as a Rolodex goes.
Mm-hmm.
We've been using it for 15 years, if we've been using it a day.
Yeah.
We've upgraded. We have relatively the current version of this software, and it works for Windows or Mac. I'm using a Lenovo laptop with Windows 7 in it.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'd love to do is take this Rolodex file and be able to open it up on my Nexus 7. Down the road somewhere, because I keep all sorts of addresses and phone numbers and other secret information that is very handy to have available when I'm not home.
So presumably the Seiko.
The Seiko is not interested. Whenever I try to do a file conversion, I'll tell you, I just did one. I just did an effort a moment ago on this online convert software.
Yeah.
And it says, unfortunately, your file could not be converted because your source file format is still unknown to our converter.
Right.
And that's what I get with most everybody that I try.
Right. So you need to use the Seiko software to export a standard file version.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go there.
Yeah, so I would hope that the Seiko, there is some program, right, on your computer that's the Seiko program that has the address book in there, right?
Yes, I can go to it now.
So there should be under File, the File menu, usually an export command or a save as command. And there are some standard file formats that you'd like to export. Comment separated values, or CSV, is very popular.
That's right. So I just open. So what do I open up? Do I open up I want to export? Is that what I want?
Yeah, export it out in a standardized format like CSV. Almost.
How do I manage to do that? That's the.
Well, that's got to be in the Seiko software. If it's not, then you might be. If they don't allow you to do that, then that's just terrible and not unusual, unfortunately.
I have. I'm there now. I'm in Select Seiko Export File Type.
There you go. Now, what are your file type choices?
The choices I have are ANSI, separated value.
That's what you want.
And UTF-8.
Yeah, do ANSI, separated value. That's called a CSV file.
Yes.
And
so
that.
I select ANSI. Is ANSI
ANSI is a standard. It's American National Standards Institute. It's kind of meaningless. What they're saying is, hey, this is a standard file format, comma-separated file format that everything, Excel can read. What I'm going to suggest you do, because you want to get it on your Nexus 7, is that you use Google Contacts to import it and then sync the Nexus 7 to Google Contacts. So the way to do it is go to the Seiko software, export as that comma-separated values. What it is if you look at it, it's a plain text file that you'll see everything separated by commas. And then once you're in there, once you have that file, now note where you saved it. I always save stuff on the desktop so I can see it. Note where you save it from the Seiko software. Then google.com/contacts. Since you have a Nexus 7, you probably already set up a Google account, which means you already have a contacts thing. And select import, and you should be able to read in that CSV. Now, before you do anything more, I would go through the Google Contacts, edit them, clean them up. Since you say you have secret information in there, that'll probably end up in the notes section, but make sure it did and it got transferred over. It won't take too long to just scan through it. Make sure it's clean. And now it will automatically synchronize to your Nexus 7. There it is. It'll be in the Nexus 7 contacts. And I frankly keep now everything. This is something everybody probably will do once, which is take that non-standard format, whatever it is. Lots of people have BlackBerry desktop contact, or Outlook contacts, or perhaps you even go back to a Palm Pilot, and you've got the Palm desktop, and you have so export it out in a standard format, import it into Google Contacts. It's going to stay there forever. When you get an iPhone, when you get an Android phone, even if you get a Microsoft Windows phone, you just sign into your Google account, whoosh, boom, it's there. Same thing with your tablets, and it stays that way, and that's the beauty of it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Eli's coming. Hide your hot girl. You know what, Big Ginge? When Google goes bust, hey, it's Jeffrey Needles, my new call screener.
We're all trying to save money these days. We're all trying to find the best value.
That's not even a phone. What is that? So I guess next week, I don't know, but I guess next week I'll have a call screener. I told Premiere that whoever they hire, they have to make sure they want to be on camera, because we're going to have a camera right here looking over my shoulder, because I can't show you where the call screener is, but he or she will be right there.
By the way,
so I can see her.
And she,
huh? The wide.
You even get email powered by Google.
Wave, Jeff.
Unlimited storage and free online.
That's where the call screener will be. See, I'm here, and he's there. Now we could use that. Hey, can we zoom that wide in, or is it too hard to reach? Because if we zoom that wide in, that's a nice relationship shot from the call screener to me. Or is there another shot? Whatever this camera, maybe that camera, that one down there, one of the. Hey, Burke, what about the one with the sea urchin on it? Or the IAS camera. Just use the IAS camera.
Automatically, continually, and that's so.
Yeah, because there's something in the way. You need to use the IAS camera.
Don't back up their computer files as often as they should. Many never. But with Carbonite, your computer files will be backed up to the cloud.
Nathan will be the new musical director.
Every change automatically.
And he may, who knows? There is default music, which you've all heard many, many times.
Smartphone or tablet with a free Carbonite.
So initially, he'll probably do that.
Backup space for your PC.
Do we have a drop cam pointing at the call screener?
And if you run a small
Gosh, I hope they hire a cute girl.
All your computers, servers, and external hard drives for one low, flat.
Huh?
Start your free trial today at Carbonite.com. You don't need a credit card, just my name, Leo, and you'll get 2 free bonus months with purchase. Carbonite.com.
So bad.
Use the offer code Leo. This thing is great.
So which number? Which camera number? 23? IS single? Yeah, looks good. Ooh, I like that. Especially if she's cute. Yeah, that we're going to have a reflection, but that's all right. And then, so Jeff, talk to me. So I'll be going, hey, Jeff, what the hell is the next? Wait, give me another. Hey, quick, give me another call. Give me another call. What is the number? I like that too. So we'll have lights, right? I like both of those. You know, maybe you guys don't need to. Well, it's too late. We already ordered the hardware, right? We haven't ordered it yet.
You and Lisa were having a conversation yesterday. I haven't heard the outcome of the conversation.
Oh, no. She said, go ahead, whatever you want. Yeah. But I'm wondering maybe if, yeah, look, now we have a light on him. Look, it's a light. You might have to do something about that glass. It's very reflective. I don't mind a little glass, though. I mean, it's. I mean, they know there's glass between us. There has to be, otherwise. If there weren't glass, then I could throw stuff at him. I'm throwing my bow tie at you. I would like Greta Garbo. Thank you. So you're the new Roz, as in Frasier, right? Isn't that her name, Roz? It went around the corner and hit him. Kyle Benham, musical director, sings his swang song. That's a good one, Kyle. We were talking about, so the call screener, normally the call screener is in Sherman Oaks with the Premier folks, and I'm up here in the Tech Guy Labs. But we're getting the call screener, so he or she will be right here with me in studio. Although they are separating us with a giant glass, because I was trying to. We're testing it out right now. We got to stand it, and I'm throwing stuff at him, and it bounces right off. So they've put a shield up. That's too bad. But we're setting up cameras because whoever that person is going to be a big part of the show. Right now, it's my intern Jeff Needles, but hey, it could be Jeff. I don't know. I don't know who they're. I don't know who they're hiring. I don't know how this works. But we'll get them a little headset and a mic so they look like Roz and Frasier. It's just like Roz and Frasier. She'll say, you have a call on line 3. And I can pick it up. Try it. Go ahead. Just try it. Say, Leo, there's a call. Joe's on the line on line 1. I don't want to take Joe. Michael's on the line in line 5. Okay, I'll try 5. Hey, Michael, Leo. Joe, you're next. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Michael.
Hi, am I in line now?
You're on!
I'm sorry?
You're on the air.
Oh, okay. Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Welcome.
I have a few questions.
Yes, sir.
One is, I've recently been having trouble with my Yahoo Mail. It got blocked, and there was a message that said it was 48 hours of blocking.
Yeah, they're mad at you for pronouncing it Yahoo.
Oh, Yahoo. Yahoo.
It's the new policy Marissa Meyer just instituted. You have to say Yahoo, or they're going to block you. Really, they blocked you for 1 day?
48 hours supposedly, but it's been going on for 5 days. And
what? Why did they block you? Did they say?
I sent a bunch of email out to my friends.
Oh, okay.
I think they think it's a scam.
They put a timeout. They put you in the corner. You're on a timeout.
Yeah, but it's been way more than 48 hours.
Well, and that's the problem with free web-based email from Yahoo, Gmail, Microsoft, is who you're going to call, right?
Yeah, exactly. Can't call anyone.
Hey, Marissa, you said 2 days. Can I come out of the corner now? So the reason this happens is they don't want spammers to use Yahoo, obviously. And so there's some number, but they probably don't even say what that number is, of emails you're allowed to send out in a 24-hour period. You exceeded it because you sent out invitations or something. You're not a spammer, right?
No. Hold on a second. I got to plug in because I've been on the line for a while.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm wondering what that number is. Actually, we can get a data point here. How many emails did you?
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's right. How many emails did you send out?
Oh, I have like 100 friends.
100, and they gave you a timeout for 100 emails.
Yeah,
wow.
And it's like the people forward like pretty pictures of some place, and I forward that on, or jokes or something.
Yeah, you're not a spammer, and you're using Yahoo reasonably. Although I suspect if you read the terms of service, they'll say something about that. I don't know what the answer is. Unfortunately, you're kind of stuck until Yahoo turns you back on.
Oh, so I can't appeal to them or anything?
Well, I'm sure you can. I just don't know who. I don't have.
I can't get through to anyone there.
No, because there isn't anyone there. They're all working away from working away from the office.
So my cousin said there's a way to transfer my files from Yahoo if I have another account somewhere.
One thing you could do, and I would do this right now. I would set up a Gmail account, a Google Mail account. I actually like it better than Yahoo Mail. It can collect your mail from Yahoo. So anybody who sends in mail to your Yahoo address, the Google Mail will collect it and will show up in your Google Mail box automatically. So that way you don't have to worry about all the people who telling them a new address. That's fine.
So how do you do that? Does it do that automatically?
It's in the settings. You go in the settings. I take it you can receive mail on Yahoo. You just can't send it, right?
Well, now I can't receive the email. It was receiving for a while, but now I went on another account and sent an email, which was supposed to go. I sent a CC to me, and it didn't show up. And I got a message that said the mail's been incapacitated or whatever.
They bounced mail, incoming mail as well as outbound.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
Oh man. Well, you're in Yahoo jail.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, unlike real jail, there's no judge to appeal to. There's no jury of your peers. Yahoo is a dictatorship. And and unfortunately, with free web, and this is free, right? Did you pay for Yahoo Pro?
No, it's a free one.
Yeah. With free email, what you gonna do? There's no parole board. You just have to wait till they turn it back on. That's really bad. That means they've killed your account. And what I would do is create a new account at Google Mail. Remember, the same thing will happen if you start, sending out a lot of emails. But the problem is your mail's going to bounce, and there's really nothing you can do about that. Okay, understanding daily email sending limits. Thanks to the chat room, I have a link to the official purple and yellow page. To prevent spam and potential abuse, Yahoo's established sending limits for outbound messages. We cannot, because of our anti-spam policies, we cannot disclose the specific limits, obviously. If you're notified that you've reached the hourly or daily sending limit, please allow the appropriate amount of time to pass before trying to send again. What might have happened is maybe because you just kept sending it, right? And they suggest using Yahoo groups if you want to have a mailing list or larger. This is understandable. Everybody does this. And the issue is that with free email, you don't have a choice. So let me tell you how you can avoid this and maybe what you can do, Michael, in the future to avoid this. Do not tell people a hard-coded email address. In other words, now you got an email account, right? Yahoo. Let's say michael@yahoo.com. You give that out. If Yahoo turns off your account, you're done. You can't forward that somewhere else. What I would suggest, it's not expensive, is going somewhere and buying a domain name. It's better anyway. Get leolaporte.com. Well, actually, don't get leolaporte.com. Somebody else already did, not me. But you know what I'm saying. Get your name or, michaelshouse.com, whatever. You go to hover.com. It's $10 to do that, I think, for a year. And then you tell Hover, or whoever the domain registrar is, whenever mail comes to anything at michaelsmailbox.com, and that could be any address, forward it over to this address at Yahoo. So it's all working fine. You're reading your mail. Yahoo's going, blah, blah, blah. Then suddenly Yahoo says, you're in the timeout. You're in the corner. Now you go to Hover, the domain registrar, and you say, stop forwarding it to Yahoo. Please forward it to Gmail now. And without interruption, your mail continues. Nice, huh? So it's an email redirection is what it is. And the point of this is that you control your email address. No one else does. Well, Hover does, or the domain registrar. You control that address. And so if somebody says, we're going to put you in the corner, doesn't matter. You go, okay, fine, and you have it sent somewhere else. But that's only good for future. I don't know how to help you right now. I don't have Marissa Meyer's home number. I'd give it to you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You don't need to run a mail server. You probably don't want to. Nice. Very nice. My new call screener has already gone Hollywood on me. Here, look. Yeah, look at that. Already gone Hollywood. Did not take long. You look like Captain Happy in the tech guy Skycopter, the traffic guy. Hey, Captain Happy, what's happening out on the highways? You know, that's what we'll have this person do. We'll have to do an internet traffic report. Leo, we're up here at 30,000 feet, and it looks like the coast-to-coast backbones are a little slow right now. Do you want to raise already, Captain Happy? That's how I'm going to call him. Even if it's a woman, I'm going to say, it's Captain Happy. He's running a drone strike right now on the Yahoo Mail servers. We're going to have fun. I think the call screen we're going to have a lot of fun with. I have to wait and meet this person to see, what their personality is. But they could be our tame hacker. I don't know. They won't be a photographer. Don't worry, Chris. You're safe in that.
That's all right.
We're going to call him Captain Happy. I'm not, it's not me doing the hiring. It's Premiere. So we don't have any say, I guess, since we're not paying the person. Oh, this is a good question. I like this. Yeah, it's really hard to get through. Noah Friend says, been trying to get through on the phone, but it's always busy. If anyone can help me, I'm in a touring band from the U.S. When touring internationally, my only saving grace at venues and hotels is Wi-Fi. That's right. My girlfriend back here in the States has an iPad. I have a Samsung Galaxy Android tablet. Is there an actual fully functional video chatting app out there so we can video chat from Android to Apple or perhaps a website? Skype. Skype is totally cross-platform on everything. You obviously won't use FaceTime. That's not cross-platform. There's others. There's Tango. But I like Skype. Looks like Kevin Rose from the back. They say, Jeff, that you look like Kevin Rose from the back. Do you even know who that is? Yeah, of course he knows who Kevin Rose is.
Leo, I think you need someone to screen your live guests.
Yeah. No, actually,
I think that's really necessary.
Yeah, that person will do that too. Even if it's a guy, I'm calling him Roz. Roz was the star. It was Roz, right? Was Frasier's call screener?
It's about time.
I think I should have a buxom young lady in here doing my. I'm gonna be a pig and just let's see, Fraser and Roz. Let me see if we can get a picture of them. Yeah, here she is.
I mean, I know no one likes the sound of their own voices, especially when they hear it on tape, because it doesn't sound as good as it does in their own head. But I hate my voice in my head, too. And you can't get away from your own voice either, you know. I've tried not listening to myself when I talk, but I find myself kind of saying things that don't make a lot of sense.
Here's Roz. I want Roz.
My voice so much. I had to call a neighbor in to do the message on my answering machine. I don't like his voice very much either, but it's better than mine. Not that I get a lot of calls.
Oh, great. Jeff, can you do that?
Advice, Dr. Crane?
Oh, yeah, yes. Just go on with what you're doing, and everything should turn out all right. Thank you for your call.
Do they have Frasier in Germany?
No, that never made it here. I don't think so. I'm not sure. I don't watch much TV.
He was on Cheers, the bar show, which I'm sure made it to Germany. Yeah. And then, hey, we got a caller on. Ah! And then he played a radio talk show host, psychiatrist. I'm gonna need one. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. It's time for photography with our photo guru, Chris Marquardt, at chrismarquardt.com. He is the guy when it comes to digital photography. You can listen to his podcasts on the Tips from the Top Floor. Find out about his workshops at discoverthetopfloor.com. And he joins us almost every week to talk about photography. Hey, Chris.
I've been pretty good with coming almost every week. Yes, you're right.
Oh, pat yourself on the back, Mr. Marquardt. There you go. Nice job. So, what do you want to talk about today?
Well, you know how much I love busting some photography myths. And this week, I think we're going to talk about raw files, raw photography, and some of the myths that surround that.
I want to mention something because I got burned a little bit. There's an iOS app called Digital Negative that just came out. And did you see it? I read about it and I thought, oh, this is great.
No.
It's supposed to do camera raw on the iPhone.
There is no such thing as camera raw on the iPhone. No. There's something that they. Oh no.
$1.99 later, I learned that.
Yes, there are things that approximate that. They're trying good, but
what is camera raw? What are they claiming?
Let's explain that first. RAW is pretty much the camera takes the picture straight from the sensor and saves it to the card, which is the picture, right? There is lots of information in there, but in order to make that into a real picture, there's more work, and the camera, when it saves a JPEG, actually does that work for you. It does pretty much what the photo lab used to do for you when you dropped a film at the drugstore. It does the color correction, and it changes some contrasts, and does a lot of other things, and it compresses it into a JPEG. JPEG is a compressed format, and it's one that is called a lossy compressed format. It pretty much bakes everything into that picture.
And that's the key. There's no going back once it's made those choices.
There's no real going back. Yes, so it's not as easy to change things in a JPEG file. RAWs are much more forgiving there. But the myth is that you must shoot RAW to get professional results, and that is not always the case, because the more things you get right in camera, the fewer reasons you have to shoot RAW. Now, I know a lot of professional photographers who actually do not shoot RAW because they need things that JPEG gives them, like pictures that come straight out of the camera and are just perfect the way they want them. But these are professionals. These know exactly what to do. These know exactly how to set up the camera to get the right exposure, to get the right colors and everything. If you're not as comfortable with that, then RAW will always give you more options.
You know,
but you have to see that if you shoot RAW, you have to process.
I interviewed Tamara Lackey, who's a wonderful photographer, shoots kids.
Yes.
And she stunned me. She said, "Oh, I shoot in JPEG." I said, "What? Yeah. You're a portrait photographer. You're a professional." She's one of the most talented professionals I've ever met. She said, "No,
But she gets it right in camera, right? She gets it right.
Mind blown."
Yes.
So you're agreeing with her?
Well, yes and no. I do shoot most of my pictures in RAW, which might mean that I just need some more help in getting things right. But you have to understand that if you shoot RAW, you must process them. Taking them out of the camera, you have to do something with them. There is no taking the picture straight out of the camera and emailing them to your grandma. That does not work. She won't be able to do anything with the RAW file. So you have to process them. And interestingly enough, the camera creates a JPEG anyway. No matter what you do, if you set it to shoot RAW, it will still create a JPEG. And actually, what you look at when you look at the preview on the back of your camera, that's a JPEG. That's the JPEG that the camera creates. It kind of bakes it into the RAW file.
And it's part of the RAW file, so it's like a thumbnail that's in the RAW file. Maybe not a very high resolution thumbnail, but at least it's there.
Well, actually, you'd be surprised if you upload a RAW file to your iPad. Usually what's displayed is that JPEG from within the RAW file.
And this is a very important lesson. The iPad cannot display RAW files.
Well, there are a couple of programs, a couple of apps out there that do that, but doing something with the RAW
iPhoto is the one I use, and iPhoto uses the JPEG image.
It does, yeah.
Built into the RAW file.
There are a couple of dedicated RAW processors for the iPad, but they are slow. They're relatively slow because it's a lot of calculations that have to be done.
So what I started doing, because I do use iPhoto on the iPad, is shooting RAW plus JPEG, but that uses up a lot of space on my card. It means that the camera saves 2 files for every picture I take. It also, doesn't it slow it down?
Yeah, but not much. I mean, it has to save additional data out there, but it makes that JPEG anyway. So
True.
It's just
already
a matter
doing that, huh?
writing that out to the card, which is not too slow with current cards. But this way, you could use the JPEGs let's say you are a sports photographer, you need to send things out to your newspaper or to the agency right away. You could use those JPEGs, but still have the raw files and then work on them and kind of perfect them later if that's what you want.
Yeah, I was at the Super Bowl, and there are people wearing special jerseys. They're photographer runners, couriers.
Yes.
They stand behind the photographer as the photographer's shooting. He whips out his card, puts a new one in, gives the card to the courier, who runs it back to somewhere, the magazine or whatever, so they can get these images up fast. It's amazing. This is a job.
So in general, I'd say shoot raw if you really want to work on your pictures. If that's what you're into, that's totally fine. If you need to fix things later, raw is a very good idea. If you need those pictures right away, if you need them developed straight from the camera, JPEG is still the way to go if you're a sports photographer. If you need lots of fast bursts and things, that's where JPEG comes in.
What's your recommendation? So I have choices in my camera of fine, normal, low JPEG. What should I shoot?
If I shoot JPEG, I set it to the highest resolution, so I have enough data that I can do something with if I need to crop something.
Even if I'm shooting a RAW plus JPEG, I should do that?
Again, it's pretty much a matter of what you need later. If you need that JPEG to be small enough to send off to your grandma straight away, then that's probably the largest one will probably not be a good choice.
So what you're saying is I shouldn't feel guilty.
No, not at all. Not at all. There are plenty of situations where I'm just happy with the JPEG because I know what comes out, because I know how to set the camera, and I can predict the result. And the better you get with photography, you will be able to kind of call that up front. And
I actually think that because I shot JPEG for a while, forgetting to turn on RAW on my new Olympus camera, and they look great. And I actually think the JPEGs and sometimes are even better than. And you don't want to have to process each and every picture out of the camera, right?
No, for me, it's maybe 1 in 100 pictures where I go, wow, I really want to do something with that.
And then you'll have the RAW if you shoot RAW plus.
And that's where RAW gives you a really big advantage. RAW will really let you dive in and change a lot of things, change color, change the sharpening, play with contrast much more than you could with the JPEG.
Chris Marquardt, as always, a pleasure. He's our photo guy. You can find him at chrismarquardt.com or go to the link in our website, techguylabs.com. Or if it's easy to remember, discoverthetopfloor.com. That's where you'll discover all he has available, including when are your next workshops and where?
I'm actually going to be in St. Louis in a few weeks at After Dark, which is a photo show kind of a thing. So, but it's sold out. Too bad. So,
have fun in St. Louis.
It's awesome. Yeah, I'm sorry. No, but there are more occasions. I will be going to India in November. Want to come?
Wow. Yeah, I've always wanted to go to India. Really, seriously, I'm dying to go.
India's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Chris Marquardt, thank you.
Absolutely.
Oh, let's not forget we have an assignment. This is not a competition. It's not. There's no prizes, but it's just a chance to go out and take more pictures, whether it's with your iPhone or your big fancy DSLR. We're looking for people to illustrate the word
storm.
Storm. That's right.
Storm is the word.
Storm. I should have run out the door. We had a hailstorm yesterday. I should have run out the door with my camera. See, that's why you have to have your camera at all times.
And damage the camera. Yeah.
Upload them to Flickr, put them in the Tech Guy group, and Chris will be reviewing our assignment in a couple of weeks. Thank you, Chris.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Marquardt.
Absolutely. Let me just briefly have a look at my calendar, because next week I might be missing
I love
action.
Epson and respect them. They make great quality products, including business, because you'll be in St. Louis.
No, next week I'll be in Tübingen and hold a workshop. So I'll be on the road on Sunday night. But the week after that, I'll be back. And then the weekend after that, I'm in St. Louis.
Excellent. No problem.
Okie dokie.
Thanks, Chris.
So
see ya.
See you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. When I think back to all the stuff I learned in high school. Fraser Crane writes the new Tech Guy theme song. Really? I want to hear this new. What is this new Tech Guy theme song of which you speak?
Let's begin. Now.
to for prompt diagnosis. A fetish or fantasy. Sex or psychosis. No problem at all. Let us handle your call. On our show, on our show. Initial traumas, your latent neurosis. Erectile dysfunction. Wetting narcosis.
I want this.
No need for shame. You can use a false name. On our show, on our show. Who dares enter the dark labyrinth of the human mind? What festering secrets are buried in the recesses of the subconscious? Lurid images, lewd desires, guilty pleasures, strange compulsions. The whole catalog of human behavior, from the aberrant to the monstrous, lurks
go to
behind a locked door
mypc.com.
to which one man holds the key. So if you are stymied to find a prognosis, and ask yourself, just like Freud, hemophastosis. Stop scratching your head, let us cure it instead. On our show, now here is the man to explain the torture terrain of your brain, the man who feels everyone's pain. Dr. Crane, Fraser Crane.
That's a little more than I probably should have. Oh, Nick Allen, what happened to your computer? He shipped it FedEx. The box got a little crunched. There's, somebody ate the corner. CPU coiler destroyed, HD mounts broken. Feet snapped off, power button. Wow. So sorry. Yeah. Well, I never ship anything like that myself. I bring it to the trained shipping professionals at our local pack and ship place down the road, where we have an account. Maureen does it all for us, and she's very good. That's why they have those styrofoam inserts. Did you ship it overseas? UPS is I had 2 Amazon shipments that have disappeared. Should check and see. They say shipped, but they don't say delivered. 2 camera memory cards.
Leo.
Yeah.
Speaking of themes.
Yeah.
Take a trip down memory lane.
Memory lane. Here we go.
You're back on Sega.
No idea. That one I know.
Takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your.
Okay, so we had Baywatch, Cheers, and Seinfeld. Am I right, sir?
Leo
Night Rider.
Yeah.
So we're trying things out for the radio show.
Down, turn you on.
I think some video game.
Yeah, this is it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888
Sure,
Ask
Sonic the
Leo.
Hedgehog. Wow.
I think all of my shows from now on should begin with Sega. This is the weirdest theme ever. Last day for my musical director, Kyle Benham, Easter Sunday, and the last day of March. It all happened all at once, all together. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number to call if you have a question, a comment, a suggestion. Joe in Thomasville, Georgia. You're very patient. Thanks for hanging on. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo, it's good to talk with you again.
Thank you, Joe.
I've got one question that would be relatively easy, which is, does the iPhone have near-field communication capabilities?
It does not. And I'm not sure why. Apple does not normally jump on any bandwagon until it's well established. And while almost all the new Android phones do, and so do the new Windows phones, so do the BlackBerry phones.
I love my Galaxy because it has that. And
Yeah.
makes it a lot easier to run certain things, which brings me to my second question. I have a Belkin what they call HD music receiver, and they claim that there's an application somewhere on the iPhone that will run it. The closest I've come to is Belkin Connect.
That's probably what they mean.
Okay.
It's Bluetooth, so the idea, and it is NFC enabled, but since the iPhone doesn't support NFC, we should explain, stands for Near Field Communication. And the idea is it's a passive chip, kind of like the chip in your toll, your fast track, easy pass toll booth payment system. As it goes through a field, it can be read. In the case of near field communication, it's actually even cooler than that, because the chip that you're tapping, the thing you're tapping, is a circuit, but it just has no power to it. When you tap it, it takes power from the phone, wakes up, and gives you some information. In the case of the Bluetooth music receiver, it makes it easy to pair. You tap the top of it, and the phone says, you want me to pair with this Belkin, and does it automatically. We're seeing that more and more pairing, Bluetooth pairings done through NFC. But that's the only feature you lose, is the pairing, the ease of pairing.
So could I get or find, if this Belkin Connect doesn't work, could I find another app that would allow me to turn the Bluetooth on and off with the iPhone? Maybe your chat room could answer that.
Yeah, because, you don't have NFC, but you have Bluetooth, and that's all you really need. I see on the description of this product, I see them pointing to the Belkin BT app for Android. I do not see them pointing to it. So it may be that you can't do the on-off switch. You can stream music and control playlists.
Yeah, and I can go in and turn it on, but I have to go in, to all my settings.
Yeah, that sounds like...
off and on.
Yeah, and that's kind of... if your device runs Android, you can download... Yeah, see, it does. It requires the tap-and-play pairing. Bluetooth music receiver is compatible with all Bluetooth-enabled devices. Yeah, I guess they don't have an app that can turn the Bluetooth off and on. My guess is they can't do that in iPhone. Apple, this is very common. This is one of the limitations of the iPhone. But it's also what makes it more secure, more robust. Apple does not allow non-Apple applications to do things like turn Bluetooth off and on.
Right. Can I ask you one more quick question?
Sure.
You know anything about the Galaxy cameras? Is there like a separate camera that they put the Galaxy name on,
Yeah, Samsung makes a camera that has Android.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
What is its basic price? Do you know?
It's not. I don't think it was that expensive. Let's see. It was $500.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll wait for Christmas on that one.
It's the first time I've ever seen an unlocked camera.
Yeah, I'd heard a TV commercial about it, and I was just kind of curious. I thought
I think it's a gimmick, to be honest. I love Android, and I carry Android phones. The idea of this camera was that it's running Android. It's got a big, glass pane on the back of the camera. So that gives you more capabilities with processing and uploading and sharing and so forth. So I guess it makes sense. It might be overkill for a camera.
Once again, you've given me all the answers that I need for my questions.
All right.
Thank you very much, and have a happy Easter. And may I say to Kyle, I will also miss him. He's given me many laughs.
We will definitely miss him. Yeah, Kyle's the greatest. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo.
Thanks, Joe. Take care. Yeah, it's an interesting camera. Molly Wood, my colleague over at CNET, said overpriced, not very good. in a nutshell. And by the way, you buy LTE, you have to pay a monthly LTE fee from Verizon so that you can use the connectivity. And it's not a phone, although I guess you could put Skype on it or something like that and kind of turn it into a phone. It's an interesting idea. I'll tell you what I like, and I do think the future of photography is in the back end. It's in the processing. We figured out, how to make great digital cameras now. The processor, the chips, the pickup chips are fantastic. The lenses are fantastic. We know how to do the mechanical parts just great. But the future of photography is then what all happens to all those bits after you take the picture. So it is the case that more and more fancy cameras are going to have operating systems, software, memory. They're going to be computers. But that's true of everything, isn't it? Your TV is a computer now. Your microwave, your dishwasher, your refrigerator, they're all computers. You can't get away from them. Now, let's talk to Steve in San Diego, who wants to know, do I need an antivirus? Hey, Steve.
Hi, I think you just answered my question. There, Leo.
Well, that's a good choice. You know, it's not as bad as it is on the Windows side. People, here's what happened. For a long time, Macs were not often attacked, very rarely attacked. Although the very first virus I ever was aware of was a Mac virus on OS 9, a System 9. But that was a long time ago. And OS 10 has not had a virus problem until recently. And what happened is Windows people smartened up. Microsoft started patching Windows regularly. Windows users, for the most part, started using viruses. And so virus bad guys needed a new platform to attack. And, well, the Mac's sitting right there. So the short answer is you bet, unfortunately. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. All the nice things people are saying to Kyle. Isn't that nice?
So nice. Sorry, I can't really respond.
Email I get includes some kind of attack.
But it means so much. Amazing community that follows you.
Well, and if you ever make it up to the Petaluma
we need
area,
that information to be received to get into the right
Come on
hands.
up
We
here
also
and
need it to remain confidential. We don't need
put you on the air.
backs. Email's the wrong way to do it. I've been saying this.
I'd love that.
Don't send attachments.
Oh, I'm so glad you asked, Joe Finn. Finally, somebody asked a question I really care about. How am I doing on The Simpsons Tapped Out? Now you're talking. Perhaps I could give you a little tour of my Springfield.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, will begin at 6 minutes past the hour. From Premier
My little corner of the world. 27 still the highest level. This is my city civic center. You've seen all of this. This is the newest thing. The escalator. I decided that the escalator to nowhere was really a metaphor for heaven and hell. So I made myself put the cemeteries over here. Made myself a little waiting room. See a little place. Oh, it always does that. Edit this out, huh? I haven't purchased the giant magnifying glass yet, or the obstacle skyscraper. And I put the Buddhist temple here. Yeah. I don't know. It's really kind of stasis now. It's just hanging out. Well, hey, how are you today? Hour 3, the Tech Guy Show is on the air. Leo Laporte here. I am the Tech Guy. We can talk about computers and the internet and cell phones if you want, home theater, digital photography, anything with a chip in it, anything computerized. 8888 Ask Leo. That's my phone number on this Easter Sunday. You can also visit our website, techguylabs.com. And everything we talk about on the show is there. Including, after the fact, audio and video from the show. So you can listen to my answer, listen to the question. And I hope if you've got something to add, you'll also add a comment. TechGuyLabs.com. It's free. Everything we do is free, thanks to our sponsors. We were talking about viruses, and I only had a few seconds to talk about why the Mac is now no longer safe. It is in many ways safer, but the Java problems that Windows has been having, both Linux and Macintosh also have. There was a browser hijacker virus on Macintosh last week. Now, you can count the number of viruses on the Mac side on the fingers of one hand, at least in the last few weeks, whereas there are thousands of new viruses on the PC side every single day. But that doesn't really answer the question. Are you more prone to get infected on Windows or Macintosh? And I'd say it's fairly equal right now. The reason Apple had an advantage, it turned out, wasn't so much that their software was so magically better, but that they just weren't a target. The market share for Macs was too small, and Windows, frankly, was too ripe. It was too easy to attack Windows. But as Microsoft got better at patching Windows, as more and more Windows users turned on their firewalls, turned on antiviruses, it pretty much became as difficult to attack a PC as a Mac. In fact, more so. So it just became a mathematical equation, and the equation is this. The number of PCs that are vulnerable, roughly 5 to 10% of PCs, almost everybody on PCs now runs antiviruses and updates regularly. That's the main thing you need to do. So 5 to 10% of PCs. The number of Macs in the marketplace, oh, interesting, 5 to 10%. As those numbers started to equalize, bad guys started to attack the Mac. Now, Apple does some very interesting things that make it perhaps a little bit safer. For instance, and I love this, and I think it's a great idea, Apple disables Java. If you don't use it for 35 days, it turns it off. And then if you want to use it, you have to explicitly say, it'll run a dialogue saying, I'm sorry, we turned this off. Would you like me to turn it back on? There are some issues with security, but if you want to use it, we'll let you. And so you have to explicitly turn it back on, something a virus cannot do. So that's great. They also push out a list that they keep up to date of software that they will not run without your explicit permission, software that is believed to be dangerous. And they add to that list. Java gets put on that list. In fact, Flash just got put back on that list. So though all in all, I think the Apple side is still much safer. There are fewer viruses, and Apple does some things that I think Windows could learn from, Microsoft could learn from in terms of protecting the operating system. So really, the answer to the question, do I need an antivirus on the Mac, is more complicated than yes or no. I'd say it certainly doesn't hurt. It's a good idea. It's how much? $30, $40. So it's not, but if you really didn't want to spend that money, yeah, the truth is the antivirus is only a second line of protection anyway. The first line of protection is knowing what to do, what not to do. And that's more important than anything else. I don't run antiviruses in general on any of my computers because I feel like I know what to do to protect myself. I haven't had a virus in more than a decade. However, I don't normally give that advice to everybody else. It's be kind of irresponsible of me to say, well, don't run an antivirus. You probably should. You probably should. On both sides. Serge is in Canada with our next call. Serge Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo Laporte.
Hey.
How are you doing?
I'm well. Welcome.
I have two things. So I listened to your show, and you gave the advice if you have problems with customer service, call the Office of the President.
Yes.
Well, I had hell with Samsung customer service. It took me months for them to tell me to send it in.
Yeah.
I emailed the Office of the President. Within 45 minutes, they emailed me back and told me that they were going to cover my warranty.
Excellent. Love hearing that.
That is the best advice I've received. Anyways, my question for you today is I'm currently running a older 560 Ti video card, and I'm just wondering what you think about when it would be the right time to upgrade to a newer video card.
And what are you running it in?
A pretty powerful gaming computer, plenty of games.
Yeah. Well, it probably is time. I just bought an NVIDIA 670, which is the next generation from the 560, for about $300. It really, there's two things to think about in terms of video cards. Cost, of course, and whether your system is powerful enough to justify it. You can put in a much better video card and not get any real benefit because your CPU isn't fast enough. The game is what we call CPU bound. If you think about it, when you're running around shooting monsters, there's two things happening. The computer has to calculate where you are and the monsters are. That's the CPU. And then it has to draw the images. That's the GPU. Well, you can put in a really fast GPU, but if it's sitting around waiting for the computer to calculate where you and the monsters are, you're not going to get the benefit. You say you have it. That's why I asked. You say you have a up-to-date, powerful gaming rig. Then it probably is worth getting a new video card. Then I guess the other question would be, when are the next generations coming out? And the current generation is almost a year old.
That's where my question came from.
Yeah. And of course, these companies aren't announcing the next card yet because they want you to keep buying them. My sense is it's not. We're not just imminently waiting for the 700 series. So, I'm not an expert on this, but I have a feeling that It's safe. I just bought a 670 and a Radeon 7950.
Okay, well, thanks for the advice. I'll probably pick up a 670 before long.
Yeah, those 670s are beautiful. At $300, you can get a 680. It's a little bit faster. I think this. I always like to get not the fastest, but the second fastest card. That usually gives you your best bang for your buck. What games do you play?
You name it. I have 2,000 games on Steam, and I jump between them regularly.
I love Steam. Isn't Steam marvelous?
Oh, well, while I was waiting for you, I was playing a game on Steam, so...
I was talking at the beginning of the show. I just started playing BioShock Infinite, which came out this week on Steam. Wow, what a great...
That? I've heard a lot of good things.
Well, it's just... my problem is I've seen so many games. I'm such an old man that I'm looking for something new and different. I don't want to run around in an army uniform and shoot Russians or Nazis or whatever it is, whatever the enemy of the moment is. Been there, done that. I don't really want to be in a dungeon lab where spooky things are jumping out at me. And I really don't want to kill zombies. So I'm looking for something different. And I'm always really excited when I see a video game that's very different. But I just finished a game on PlayStation 3 called Journey that's completely unlike any video game you've ever played before. Beautiful. There's no shooting involved at all. Wow, what a thought. But it's not a puzzle game either. It's an adventure game. There's just no shooting. And BioShock Infinite, well, it is what we call a FPS, first-person shooter. There is, you're running around shooting at things. But there is a lot of story, and the graphics, the art design is fascinating. I'm not crazy about it. Unfortunately, it's the reason that there are so many shooting games is not because people like them. Yes, they do. But it's more because it's an easy thing to write software to do. Detecting the collision between two objects is one of the easiest things to do in software, and it's one of the things the hardware supports automatically. So it's just a natural from day one. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Now, I wonder, could you get through BioShock Infinite without shooting? I don't think so. Well, they are. The internet is an absolute necessity. Run around and life. But we all know there's a lot of danger. Shoot or be shot, right? There are some things in BioShock Infinite that make it interesting. You certainly don't need to shoot everything, and in many cases you don't want to. I don't know. I would prefer not to. That's why I love Journey. Wow, is that beautiful? There's no killing at all. But there's flying. I know, when you watch a show, that's the first thing. Every time I watch the tech, I always think, I need a new sombrero. La la la. This Week in YouTube coming up in about 45 minutes with Lamar Wilson, and This Week in Tech right after. You know why, Kiki Guru? I know it's National Backup Day, but that's a marketing thing from Crash Plan. I'm sure Carbonite wish they'd thought of it. I know it was Tabletop Gaming Day yesterday, wasn't it? No, I didn't. I played BioShock Infinite. Better than any tabletop game. Really a fun game. Don't have it on here. I heard I can install Windows on this Fusion drive now. I should try it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Who you gonna call? 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. You're gonna call me, right? Dick in Orange County, California. Hi, Dick.
Absolutely, Leo. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you too, sir.
Okay, here I am with my 6 or 7 year old IBM laptop ThinkPad.
Okay.
It's a great machine.
Yes.
And in exchange for doing some work at my neighbor's house, they allow me to ride on their wireless router.
Okay.
However, they just had some changes made, and their wireless router is now WPA2.
Oh, and your Lenovo is not, is it?
Correct.
Yeah, 6 years ago, I don't know if we even had WPA2.
This is so old, it's still an IBM.
Oh, it's not a Lenovo. It's a ThinkPad Original.
You got it.
Oh, those are great computers, though. They never die.
Absolutely. So the question in mind is WPA2 something I can add simply by downloading a file and running it?
No, it's a hardware thing, but you could buy a USB Wi-Fi dongle.
Okay.
So they're not expensive. All the companies make them. And it's as if you didn't have Wi-Fi in your computer. You'll turn off the Wi-Fi in your ThinkPad. In fact, I remember that has a hardware switch to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And you could just use that external access device.
Okay, well, I have a new Lenovo ThinkPad.
Yeah, that'll work. And they're right to do WPA2, by the way. They wised up. It's my strong recommendation. Everybody use WPA2.
Oh, yes.
Unless you have an old IBM ThinkPad. Now, somebody said that it's possible. Somebody said it's possible you could replace the card in there, or maybe update the firmware in the card. But I don't think so. I think you probably have to get an external dongle.
I think a dongle's the easier way to go.
And it's cheap.
And cheaper.
They have an advantage. I mean, they're not as portable. You know, there's something hanging off your machine, but you can aim them a little bit better. So since you're using the neighbor's Wi-Fi, it might work a little bit better for you as well. Now, if you're using XP, you also make sure that you have to update your XP to use WPA2.
Yes, I'm using XP Pro.
Okay, and as long as it supports, early versions of XP did not support it, so you do have to make sure that you're using that.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
All right, and do you have a Express card slot on that, or a PC card? No.
This one's too old.
Yeah, so you'll just be using USB, but that works fine. I've used it on many computers, and as I said, I often get better reception because it's external to the computer, and you can even kind of aim it, move it around until you get better reception. So I don't think that's a bad thing. Brad in New Jersey, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Brad.
Leo, great to talk to you.
Thanks for calling.
Fantastic. I love your show.
Oh, I'm so glad you listen. Thank you.
I love it. I learned so much from it.
I learned so much from doing it, I mean, people ask questions all the time. I go, I don't know. I never heard of that. And then I research it, and now I know. And it's a great way to keep my brain working. So thank you. I'm staving off senility.
Thank you. I've got a small business, and I've had a website and email for a number of years with a host internet service provider. And apparently they've been sending my bills to an older email account that I had, and I got slammed with lots of spam, and I must have missed their bill. As a result, I went back and tried to pay it, and they said, no, we've taken everything down. We don't have any backup. You lost all your emails and everything. Now, I thought data centers usually keep on a monthly basis some sort of backup.
They ought to. They ought to. I think you're right. How long between when they disconnected your service and when you got a hold of them was it?
It's been, I called them, I guess, a month afterward, and now I call them back again, and so now it's been like 6 or 7 months.
Yeah, they may not keep it for more than a few months. There's no requirement. There's no legal requirement they have to keep your data. So they could even, if they decided to cancel your account, they could even go and wipe it out. And a smaller company that may not, there's really also, hard drive space is cheap. There's probably no compelling economic argument for deleting it, but maybe they're small. Maybe they didn't want to buy another hard drive. I don't know.
Well, I thought from a government perspective, they might be forced to hold things or keep things for long enough so that it could be evaluated.
No.
If need be.
There has been several times a bill proposed in the federal U.S. Congress to do that, but it has not passed yet. And that's for internet service providers. I don't know if it applies to web hosting.
Yeah, because they've got my, they had all my emails in there. And
I'm so sorry.
I can repost my website. That's not a problem, but all the emails is what was the point.
I'm really sorry. Yeah, there's no guarantee. There's no, to my knowledge, no requirement on their part, and I think 6 months. It's wouldn't be unusual. I would pursue it, however. Somebody in the chat room saying, and Web 2402 is right. It may be just customer service doesn't know, or maybe they're just mad at you. So you might pursue it. Send a note to the CEO or the owner, and say, boy, dude, if you could just find this stuff, it was my fault. I apologize. Let me pay for it or whatever. It's not so long that they absolutely wouldn't have it. I'm not sure what happened. But there's no requirement that they keep it. You're right. You would think there'd be some sort of data storage requirement. No, it's up to you, not them. We have certain requirements in terms of email, keeping our email for a while, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't believe it's their requirement. I think it's your responsibility, not their requirement. Bob in Los Angeles, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for taking my call. I have to tell you, Leo, my wife, who's from Newport, Rhode Island, listens to you as much as she possibly can.
Well, I grew up in Providence. I love Newport. Beautiful
That's
area.
Right,
yeah.
Anyway, Leo, I'm trying to figure out whether I should upgrade from Mac OS 10, 10.7.3 up to 10.8. So that would be from
Lion to Mountain Lion. Yeah.
Yeah, Mountain Lion. I'm a music composer, and a lot of times when you upgrade,
I understand.
You got to upgrade everything.
Yeah, I understand. What software do you use?
I use Los Angeles scoring strings, Vienna Instruments, Symphobia, Storm Drum, all these.
Yeah, these are higher end and perhaps not as up to date because of the specialty nature of these programs. So I can't tell you if they work with Mountain Lion. My experience with Mountain Lion has been very positive. I haven't had trouble with Mountain Lion and anything, but I'm not using those programs. And boy, when you're a professional and your livelihood depends on it, I can understand your reluctance. You need to contact those individual companies and say, do you work with Mountain Lion? There's no reason I could, Core Audio isn't massively changed. I can't think of a reason, but I can't promise you, so you should check with them. It's your business. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, I don't think it's an issue, but I don't want to guarantee it because I don't want to put the guy out of business. Hey, there's a new call screener. What city is it? This is my desktop. I'm just trying to think what city this is. I want to say Toronto, but I think it's not. In fact, I think I've even asked you this question before. That should be a giveaway. It's like Northern England, right? Something like that. Is it Liverpool? Maybe it is. I can't quite read that. It's so beautiful. What a great waterfront. This building here. Oh, maybe this might say. Waterscape.com. Discover the waterscape. Isn't that pretty? Don't you want to go there? Looks like Toronto to me, but it's not. They say it's Liverpool. Yeah. It's not as pretty as Petaluma.
Believe it or not, George isn't at home. Please leave a message at the beep.
Don't ever do this.
I must be out. Pick up the phone. Where could I be?
It's a classic. It's a classic. Seinfeld will always be classic. It's like I Love Lucy, right? But I have to point out, when's the last time you had an answering machine with a tape in it? I mean, it's been a while, right? I guess you could still record your voicemail answer like that. 8888 Ask Leo. John, Simi Valley, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, John.
Hi, Leo. You know, the only thing wrong with that one as a theme song is that it has a built-in laugh track.
I know.
It's like, oh my God! I worked in television for years, and I worked with the guy who invented the laugh machine.
Oh man, what he could go around with it in a little suitcase, right?
Yes, and it was like he invented it, and it was like a keyboard. It looked like a typewriter, and we doing a show. We did the last section of the show. So, but when it left our studio, it went on the air, and so he had the keyboard, and every time he hit a key, a different kind of laugh came out, and it was so secret, a top secret, that literally he would make us all leave the studio, the control room, if the producer wanted a different set of laughs, different sounding kind of audience. We all had to leave the room so he could change the tape loops. we knew what was inside.
We know it's tape loops. Come on, leave it. Let us sit here. That's hysterical. Do people still now? A lot of shows are done before a live audience, but I think they still sweeten them a little bit, don't they?
Oh no, yeah, they do. He sits the son of the guy who invented it, Charlie Douglas.
You're kidding.
He actually sits in the control room with the sound guy who's doing the live audience, and what he does is he beefs it up. He makes it sound funnier than it is.
You're kidding. So it's a family business.
Yeah, it started out. Charlie retired. The guy who invented it, he retired, but he taught his son how to do it. So his son just took over the business, and then he hired a few. They hired a few more guys, and they. There's probably only about 4 or 5 guys in the whole country that do all of the shows, because they fly from one end, from New York to L.A. and back and forth wherever there are studios. Most of the TV shows are done here,
right?
Anyway, that used laugh tracks or whatever. So
it's so obviously a laugh track, especially when you hear it as we just did. I mean, it's clearly a laugh track.
Oh yeah, there's no question. And we used to, you get to recognize the laughs too if you listen. I did it for a living, so I could tell which key he was going to hit, and I would even recommend no. You need this other laugh.
I just heard that laugh. I don't want that laugh.
I was even mixer baby on a show, and I would turn to the guy and I'd say, no, that one doesn't work at all.
That's hysterical. Now, of course, you don't need tape loops. You just need a computer with a. I could do it on an iPad.
They do now. They do. Finally, Charlie's son, he changed it all, and he put it all on a laptop and put it on. He worked for years and years and redesigned the whole thing so that he actually uses the keyboard of an iPad and brings it around with him and has all the laughs inside the computer, and he redesigned the keyboard because you have to be able to hit 2 different keys and at the same time so that they fade out, and they fade between the 2 laughs, because it might start out with an ooh and then go into laughs and then and then change and end with applause. So he had to write a big program to make it do all that smoothly.
So the chat room has given me a link to the PBS show Antique Roadshow. There was a laugh box on it. And you can watch the video on the PBS site. He's got not only the box, but he's got the suitcase with tape loops in it, and cues, paper written on paper. Amazing! This must be one of the originals.
Maybe it was one of the originals. He would never let us be in the room. Literally, everyone had to leave the control room while he opened up the box and changed the loops.
Wow! So, is your question? Can I update my laugh box to Mountain Lion?
No. I'm an old fart like you. I go all the way back to Apple IIe. That was my first computer. I've had, I think, 15 Macs since the beginning. I've gone from the IIe. I've had eMacs. I've had 4 Minis. I've had the mirror drive door, the original MacBook, the MacBook Pro, the Quad Tower. I've got 2 iMacs now. And
I know the feeling. I think there's not a single Mac, including the Cube and the 25th anniversary Mac, which I have right here in the studio with me, that I haven't owned myself. Crazy, isn't it?
I never had a Cube. I looked at it and I thought,
I wish I never.
That was cool.
It was, you know, this is when that legend that I always buy stuff and then Apple makes a new one started. I bought the Cube the day they discontinued it. I bought it. I took it home. I read the announcement. Apple has discontinued the Cube.
Yeah,
that was the beginning of my long, rocky relationship with technology.
Well, the way I avoided that was that I would stop reading
yes.
Macworld or
That's
something
the best
like
thing.
that.
Don't read. There's the solution.
And so I didn't until the software, the system software would come out that would make it so that some of my programs that I had to use wouldn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Then I'd change computers.
So you're sympathetic with our composer, who was asking that very question, which is, should I go from a lion to mountain lion, given that I don't know if my software work? And I think your advice, if it's a line of business, if it's software you have to have for your work, your advice is exactly right. Keep running that same hardware-software combination until it doesn't work anymore, then get a new computer.
Then get a new computer,
Yep.
yeah. Because he knows what he's got,
Yep.
and he knows exactly how to do it. And if he's successful using it, he should not be changing.
Yeah, it's very different advice from the geeks like me, enthusiasts like me, who upgrade whenever possible.
I see. That's what I would do, and it's got to be crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
not worth it.
Too much. But here's what was. I can't listen to every week to every single show for however many hours that you're on. And lately, last week I heard some, and what I could listen to, and this week you kind of disappointed me because you started saying things that, well, Mac, has dropped this and they've dropped that, and on, like Thunderbolt isn't being picked up by anybody, so and that's too bad because it's really good, and it's like now I'm not sure. Okay, so where am I supposed to go now?
Good question.
Is there an article
Good question.
that I can read? Is there a book?
Well, it's all a feeling, right? Because Apple hasn't given up the computer business. Yeah. They did give up the name Apple Computer. They're just Apple Incorporated now.
Right.
And I think there's something to be noted there. I mean, they make most of their money now on iOS and portable devices. iPads, iPhones have been hugely successful for them. Right. Mac sales continue. But, what my friends will point out is, well, Apple's not going to harm the Mac because that's how you develop software for these more profitable devices. You need, as Steve Jobs famously said, some people still need to drive a truck.
Yeah.
Even though most people will be buying a car, you still need to make trucks. And they also point out that Apple themselves, those are pros. They're video editors. Many of their programmers use Final Cut for video, use Logic for music. So they're not going to do anything to harm the tools that they use. And I suppose that's true. But
we started out at have worked at a lot of studios during my career. I'm retired now, but we started out with Avid, and
well, I think I'm going to put you on hold because we got to take a break. But I think you're right, and I think Avid is coming back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Sorry about that, Leo.
No, you did the right thing in your last act. So Lisa wants to know if we can hire you to work up here and running the studio up here.
I've looked in almost.
Are you
every
moving back
business
east?
email
Do you know
includes some kind of attachment.
That would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be funny? You know who's doing the hiring though for the call screening job?
We need that information.
Yeah, I know. They would never hire me.
I know. Well, that's what I told Lisa. She said, "Well, let me call." So if you're interested, we'll talk to them. They'll do whatever we ask of them, I would think. Unless you
sends your attachments.
Unless you stole the
so you could send files of almost any size.
Stole. Well, I don't know what you could steal. The laugh track machine. You open the box.
Copyright.
It's so funny. This video you can actually see
laptop.
The
tablet,
tape
smartphone.
loops.
I love
spinning.
That's what I used to send this commercial to the radio station.
Where'd you get it? At a storage auction.
He bought it at a storage auction.
But I just
Let me jump ahead to
the machine is a group of tape loops.
Okay.
And Charlie Douglas invented this laugh track machine for early television. In 1953, he said, we need a better audio solution for the audience reaction. Okay. So he would get
Look at that.
Really great recordings.
Little tiny
and then
tapes.
offer those recordings to the television companies to enhance their programming. Why don't you push one of the buttons? So that would be put onto the finished product of a television program.
Look at
and
that.
then to add to
Talk
that,
about
you brought
analog.
in his actual journal book of all the shows
That's
that he
right.
did.
Yes.
And
Father
you
Knows
find
Best,
almost
Pride
every
of the
important
Family,
television show from
Life with
1953
Father.
all the way up to Cheers.
Yeah, I don't know some of these shows.
So they're historical, important shows. There's some here. This one
This
says
is a
Merv
hugely-
Screams. One of these says Beatles. So that adds to the value that he
This
has.
is hugely
audience
valuable.
reactions to some of the most
Oh my
important
God! I
shows,
can't believe he got
too.
this as a
But
storage
what this
locker.
box is an important part of television history.
Okay.
Because television would not be the same without a laugh track. To me, this is as
Priceless.
important as early cameras,
I agree.
as important as many of the
agree.
computer technologies that exist today.
Okay.
Push another button. Let's see what we have.
See, they got it hooked up to him.
So the big joke right now is on the guy who didn't pay the storage locker rent.
No kidding.
And that's because this item is probably worth about $10,000.
Is that all?
Okay.
And the reason I think this is the only one that exists is because Charlie Douglas was very secretive about his device. Therefore, he could go into a studio with his team, with his black box, and do the work for him, and then he'd take his black box and not let anybody see what was in it. How much did you pay for the locker?
$650.
And what'd you make on all the other stuff?
About 1,000.
Oh, you're a winner.
Yeah.
Give yourself some applause.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh, I'm going to push one, too, because I like it.
Isn't that great? It's got. I don't know what it's worth, but that's amazing. That's amazing. That's Antique Roadshow. Thank you, whoever found that. That's a really great clip. I think it's worth more than $10,000. Let's get the Pawn Stars in here, find out what they'd pay for it. But, you know, it's only worth what somebody would pay for it, right? Can't believe it still works. And it is one of a kind, I think.
All right, you're good on all your live reads, Leo.
Thank you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. We were talking with old-timer Leo Laporte and Michael in Los Angeles, a couple of old-timers. I feel like we're on the back porch reminiscing about the good old days. Actually, it was John, wasn't it, in Simi Valley? Hi, John. So I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what the future of Apple holds. I'm just disappointed at the direction the company seems to be heading, and I hope for more. I hope for better. But you're right. Hollywood is Hollywood not abandoning Apple to some degree? Avid is back.
I know that Avid is coming back. I know that Technicolor, which is one of the biggest studios now because they bought Warner Brothers, they bought a bunch of other Disney is involved with them now, and their entire facility is all hooked up on Macintosh, and it's all run with FileMaker as their database to keep track of where all the tapes are stored. And believe me, they've got shows that I did at other studios 20 years ago in their vault.
Wow.
You know, so they're completely Macintosh. So I doubt that they've switched back.
What's scary is that Final Cut became so dominant that Avid's actually struggling.
Yeah,
and so
they were using Final Cut, and then and we did cleanup of old movies too. And they have programs. There's lots of programs to do cleanup of audio and sound or picture for old movies.
But I got to figure that they're not using the latest Final Cut, the Final Cut 10, that they didn't make the jump.
Yeah, that I don't know because
It's so different, and it won't read the old Final Cut projects. It won't work with tape machines or any analog inputs. It's a very the new Final Cut really we couldn't upgrade to it because it doesn't support the hard drive technologies we use, a very standard hard drive technology called SAN.
Uh-huh.
So
well, I don't know. It was sort of disappointing when I keep hearing that. Well, Apple's this, Apple's that. And they're starting to lose it. And when I have had them since, like I said, the Apple IIe, no viruses ever. And I've had like 15 of these guys.
I know they're great. I use Macs too. I'm sitting in front of a Macintosh as my main system, and my systems at home are Macs. Yeah. But you got to remember, John. You may love your computer, but your computer doesn't love you.
No, of course not. It's garbage in, garbage out.
It's just a tool, and you can think this is the best hammer ever, but.
Well, I guess I'll just, you know what? I'm going to keep like I've always been until something doesn't work.
Right.
I'm going to probably just stay with what I got.
There's nothing yet. I'm more looking ahead and expressing concern. There's nothing yet.
I'm expressing concern too because I saw their stock was way up earlier this year, and it went and it's been nosediving lately.
Yeah.
Ever since the stupid map came out on the iPhone 5.
Well, I don't pretend to understand the stock market, and I don't know if the stock price has much to do with Apple's success or failure. I think it has a lot more to do with technical stock issues than it has to do with the future of Apple. They've got an awful lot of cash in the bank, well over $100 billion in the bank, and they've got some very smart people still working there. But we'll see. We'll see. And boy, the rumors are flying. I mean, the Apple TV, that rumor's kind of backed off now. Now they're talking about an Apple Watch, wristwatch. We know that there's probably a new iPhone in the offing in the next couple of months. A new iPad perhaps as well, maybe several. And those are profit centers for Apple. I'm not worried about that. Although I don't use an iPhone anymore. I don't feel like the iPhone is cutting edge as it used to be. 8888 Ask Leo, what do you think, huh? Let's talk high-tech. Dudge in New Jersey. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Dudge.
Thank you, Mr. Laporte, if I may call you guru. Thanks for taking my call.
You may indeed.
I'm in serious trouble.
Oh, no. What's the matter?
Well, a small business, 30 years old. I'm 66 and had COBOL and Fortran as a kid.
Oh, my.
But I've got a 32-bit versus 64-bit dilemma. I've got my small business, 6 employees. We're a big deal, of course. And, they're used to old card files and everything else, and it all works. It's very great, but I can't get this stuff transferred from 32-bit to 64-bit. I got to go through layers of this and layers.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, by the way, if you ever want to do a good Howard Cosell, I think you're the man.
Oh, why is that?
You sound like you could be Howard Cosell. So we're going to...
I was in the radio business many years
I detected a little professional cadence.
But I want you to grab my steering wheel and my windshield and see if you can help me wade out of this thing.
I'm
in trouble.
We live in an environment where everything, we assume the bigger number is the better, right? But 64 isn't necessarily better than 32, as you are learning. The hardware has been 64 for some time. It's only now that the operating systems are moving to 64-bit computing. There's one and only one advantage to 64-bit computing. It can address a larger amount of memory. If you want more than 4 gigabytes of RAM in your hardware, you've got to have a 64-bit version of Windows. However, most applications run fine in 4 gigs, and if your applications don't run well in 64, I would stick with 32-bit, at least as long as you can. Microsoft's moving people as quickly as they can.
Yeah. Well, Leo, here's my dilemma. I am a sales engineer. They stopped sending blueprints years ago. They went to CDs, and now everything's online.
Right.
So I can't switch everything unless I'm at 64-bit on some of my computers.
But your software won't run in 64.
Well, it'll run, but you got to go through layers of this and layers of that and layers of everything else, which is very time-consuming, Leo. I thought you could grab my steering wheel and my windshield. I'm going to keep holding the brake and the gas. Okay?
Well, I think you're in what is a very difficult time for teenagers and computer when you're in between, one stage and the other. You're going from child to adult. You're going from 32-bit to 64-bit. That transitional stage, that adolescence, is always ugly. And that's exactly what we're in right now.
Leo, I'm 66 years old.
You got acne, Dudge.
Hey, listen, I got another one before, and I'm getting your hint.
Okay.
I bought a software package for a map about 5 years ago, and all of a sudden I couldn't do a search on it. So I called up the engineers at the map company. I won't throw names around. And they said, we timed it out at 5 years. You have to buy another program or go through 6 additional pages of all these layers of stuff to get it back on. I said, why are you doing that? I'll give you another $49. What is it with these people?
Partly it's maps. I mean, obviously, they can make the case that, well, the maps have changed, and so we want to give you a kind of a forced, transfer. But I also think that it's it's a forced obsolescence as well. It's a way to make a little bit of money. That is just the way the technology world is. And what 5 years used to be a long time. I was telling my mom's 80 years old, and I'm telling her how to tip. Because she wants to give people a couple of bucks. I said, Mom, you can't. She said, but that's a lot of money. I said, you know what? A couple of bucks now is what 2 dimes was when a few years ago. Times change. And unfortunately, 5 years is not long in the technology industry. It's more like 35 years. And we have to kind of adjust our thinking. It's not paper maps. A paper map would work forever, right? But it isn't. So really what's happening is forced obsolescence. That's not what's happening with the 16 to 32 and now 32 to 64-bit transfer. That's just simply the computers getting more powerful. The advice I'd give you is the same that John was saying. Keep using it till it stops working. And then when it stops working, you upgrade everything. And that's I guess probably the best way to end this show, at least for today. I want to thank Kyle Benham, my musical director, for the last... How long have you been working with me, Kyle? A couple of years?
2.5.
2.5 years. He's been counting the days, and he will be moving on to greener pastures, I presume. But it's been great working with you. You've done such a good job. You can follow Kyle on his Google Plus account, KYLE. Space BENHAM, or ADKyle, ADKYLE.com. He puts the show playlist, all the musical interludes that he picked for the show, up on his Google Plus account right after the show, and he'll do that again today. Say goodbye to Kyle, everybody. But don't say goodbye to me. I'll be back next week. Sorry to disappoint. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great geek week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.